The irresistibility of darkness. You lure me into ever-growing darkness, like into a wood that ever grows more fearsome, as we tread on paths to nowhere without even having any hunch of where we are going. No one knows, and all we know is darkness that keeps falling and curtailing us, inveigling us in imperceptible secret mysteries of love and evil and perdition. All we know is that this road is leading forward, after all, but whether it's a tunnel or an abyss, a blind alley or a path to progress and release, we cannot know. We can but keep on going on into the darkness, thickening and ever growing more menacing and fearful and destructive in its black addiction of the final vicious circle. Passion. Passions must lead you astray, as nothing can resist them. You are hopelessly carried away to where your will is without power, and you have no influence of your own destiny. Follow blindly as a slave your heart, and you will end up in a series of discoveries, of wonders and experiences unheard of, which would never have been possible if you had mastered your own love. Of course, any experience is worth it, and as long as your love doesn't kill you, go on loving, following your passions, for as long as they keep going on. Our strange association. We have come so deep into each other that we'll never find our exit way again. Not that we're stuck, since willingly we are so, but it must result in some confusion, since it will be difficult to separate us, even in our poems, since they also, like ourselves, keep entering each other, as we really know each other's texts by soul, if not by heart, as they keep interfoliating as we do each night in secretive communion, clad and veiled in dark inscrutability. That is love, united demoniacally and inseparably, unalterably and inviolably forever. Love is to be complicated. To fall in love is easiest of all. To stay in love demands some mobilized persistence. To maintain it as a labor and to see to the bitter end is the supreme ordeal. The challenge of it is the complication which is always there, inevitable, to continue constantly increasing for as long as it goes on. And the test of destiny is grappling with the complications which will multiply as you go on, like dragon heads of Hydra, 2 new ones growing out for every one you manage to chop off. The complications are the sport of it, and the challenge is for you to never give up championship. If you give up, you are a loser, and you then have everything to lose. But if you manage never to give up and stay in love through all the complications, you shall be the ultimate and greatest winner. Vita nuova. You gave me another life, as if the one I had was not enough and more than I could handle. But the randomity of your generosity so much enriched my whole existence that I feel my life as twice as much as if I actually now had 2 lives to lead, with the responsibility which it imports. What would I be without it? Bored out, maybe lost, and maybe nothing, since the new life also gave my life new meaning, which was maybe what the old one lacked. So here I am, with you locked up in double lives, and there is nothing we can do about it but the best of it, to grip and bear it, and keep it out, sustaining the charades and role plays to the end, for better and for worse. Kärlekens komplikationer. Kärleken skall vara komplicerad. Ingenting är enklare än att bli kär, men för att fortsätta att vara kär så krävs det någon sorts mobiliserad envishet. Att hålla fast vid kärleken och hålla den vid liv är mer än blott ett arbete, och att härda ut med den intill det bittra slutet är den yttersta och absoluta prövningen. Komplikationen är utmaningen som alltid föreligger oundviklig för att ständigt tillta lika länge som din kärlek håller på, och ödets prövning är att ta upp kampen med komplikationen som alltid skall multiplicera sig så länge som din kärlek håller på, som hydrans huvuden där 2 nya växte ut för vart och ett som du högg av. Det är den stora sporten där det gäller att ej någonsin ge upp ditt mästerskap. Om du ger tappt är du förlorare och har allt att förlora, medan om du lyckas med att aldrig någonsin ge upp och har din kärlek kvar genom alla dess komplikationer, då är du den största vinnaren och oslagbar som sådan. The mists of Avalon, the whisperings of silence come with their embrace for the protection of our sanctuary, free from worldly troubles and their pettiness, in sustained and lasting harmony and constancy, to ever be the home of peace and beauty, with acquired taste that constantly improves, to set a good example for the world, and judging it in truth and justice for its folly, baseness, and barbarity, while its only basic crime is ignorance. Thus the realm of Avalon keeps towering forever above the mists that hide it and protect it from unworthy mortal and uneducated eyes, while we who are initiated in her realm will piously continue to perform our duty of upholding her as the ideal of all ideals forever. Momentary relief. As I long for you, my love, my tears run gushing freely in the fond nostalgia of our memories, which is my only comforting relief from my abhorrent pains and trials, under duress, headaches, and injustices, that makes your personality, in contrast, a blue angel out of paradise. When shall we meet again? I sorely miss our soothing intimacy, while my only comfort is my dreams, in which you dominate each night my world of sorrows and atrocities, which you alone make me forget, and momentarily at least can cure me of, an assuaging moment's brief relief in an eternity of torment. Invitation. Let out your hair and be erotic. Your beauty is not for concealing. Your mask may be efficient as protection, but it is a lie confining you behind yourself, while beauty only can be given justice, well released and triumphing in freedom. Remove your black disguising glasses and your 7 veils. Let out your hair in overwhelming length and glory, for your foremost duty must be only to be loved, and if your beauty is concealed, you make it difficult. Your hair is no good tied up out of sight, and we all know how your body should be seen. We will be hidden anyway in darkness in the night, in bed together, where we can't be seen, but there it is all right, since we are compensated. Adversity and defeat. It doesn't matter if you lose it all, and all your life turns into something of a blackout, of disasters, tragedies, black holes, and Armageddons. All that means nothing, like all wars and slaughters. The world wars were but parentheses, meaning nothing really to the course of history, the reapings and the sowings coming regularly anyway, while you alone in all the universe are always there, and in the middle of it all, the hub of the rotating universe, which no defeat can touch, and no adversity has any right to bother, since you are a soul and sovereign as such, a spiritual being of supreme integrity, a god of consequence and some untouchability, while all the world and universe is just a mess, the sole purpose of which is to serve you. This might seem a bit presumptuous and preposterous, but it is actually the truth. It's hard to face it for its splendor and supremacy, and people usually prefer to look another way. But it is always there, reminding you, if not before, in death, that you cannot escape, that you are doomed to be yourself and no one else, forever in the now that is eternity. Asylen. Apropå min senaste rättegång, åtalad för att ha cyklat mot grönt gångljus när ett osett cykelljus var rött, dömd till 1500 kronor i böter för brottet. Hela dokumentationen finns som anteckning under mitt namn Christian Lanchai på Facebook. Jag ville aldrig slåss med verkligheten. Jag ville njuta av den och behaga den, men hur jag än försökte vara den till lags, behaga den, försköna den och idealisera den, behagade den endast slå tillbaka för att skoningslöst och ensidigt, urskillningslöst och elakartat, konsekvent blott ge mig fan, som om jag var en brottsling för att jag blott ville göra gott. Mitt brott var då min kreativitet. Så sätt mig då i fängelse och isolera mig med självmordstankar som den enda terapin och vägen ut, det enda rimliga att göra som en människa brottsligt delaktig i det omänskliga fördärvet av planeten, mänskligheten ihjälparasiterandes på en natur som kvävs i mänsklighetens spyor av dess ansvarslöshet, korruption och självsvåld. Min enda tröst är min asyl, min arbetsplats, där jag alltjämt åtminstone kan arbeta, gratis som jag alltid gjort i hela livet, för att fortsätta få fan för det av orättvisans och omänsklighetens samhälle. Om man ej får vara idealist och leva för idealismen har i livet någon mening och är blott parasitism. Och ett samhälle som bryr sig om att sabotera, motarbeta, våldta och förgöra själens idealism är dödsdömt och ett monstrum av parasitism som man kan överleva blott genom att ta avstånd från det. How do you do it? Your body is like an explosion of the purest everlasting energy, but of a spiritual, vital kind that only gives and never takes, which is why it is impossible to ever tire of our love affair. How do you do it? Everyone must ask, and I have wondered it myself ever since our relationship became a fact, but this mystery has constantly grown more mysterious. Double-hard experience and its wisdom might be a great part of the answer, but does not explain the art and craft behind it all. Never mind, the point is that we carry on and never tire of our perfect love, that keeps on going more than well and only grows the more for its intrinsic mystery. Delicate approach. It's difficult to love you since you always glide away, as if you were not real, but still there is no being more real for all your mystery and enigmatic riddle. You hide away in constancy to be the more alert and active, manipulating behind the scenes, known and present everywhere, and constantly unfathomably out of touch, like another Phantom of the Opera. But I know you to be the loveliest of all, and it's your humbleness that makes the mystery. As long as I may serve and love you, I am happy and content and ask for nothing more, and dare not question your unfathomableness. Love restored. The terrible ordeal of tyranny, deceit, and cruelty has marked our lives with scars of suffering, but never once imperiled or reduced our love. You are the same, only more beautiful than ever, adding some maturity and depth to your nobility, your purity appearing the more intact for your humiliation, all the dirt that you had to endure just seeming to enhance your personality, integrity, and beauty, and the charm and glory of your soul. Your light appears in fascinating splendor for the background of the darkness of your night, that you came through more than alive with honor and the rare reward of happiness. No one was closer to my heart than you. I loved you always, no one knew me better, and the fact that we have reunited once again after so many wars of torment and self-sacrifice is more than proof of that our destiny together from the start was something more than we could ever dream of. Konstverket. Vad bryr jag mig om deras elakhet och världens ignorans och nonchalans, den infernaliska krasshetens egoism och den mänskliga blindhetens destruktivitet, när jag ändå kan arbeta och ibland få vara kreativ i fred? Jag struntar i att tjäna på mitt arbete, bara det blir färdigt så att jag kan visa upp det med ett eget liv och budskap av bygglighet och sanningsskönhet som kan göra det bestående. Det räcker gott åt mig. Låt andra gamar tjäna pengar på det. Jag är nöjd med kunskapen och äran om att vara verkets skapare, ty ingenting kan överträffa det. The mystery of dualistic unity. One should expect some variance between two people of so different worlds as we are, you and I, and yet we are one soul and were so ever. As if we had been together, knowing well each other always through the ages, although at the same time so completely different. Is that friendship, love, or something else, like soulmates of eternity? Our bodies are of no importance or concern. Their needs are secondary to our feelings of belonging to each other as two souls that need each other to be more complete than ever we can be as we enjoy each other physically. That's the mystery, the higher sense of being and desire spiritually than physically, as if we can only be fulfilled as persons when we are together and forget our bodies. The problem of discretion. The truth is never what it seems. It's always hidden underneath and carefully suppressed from policy or care or caution or whatever, oftentimes by scruples and discretion, but it's always there and crying loud in silence, like a death scream from someone buried alive, that must eventually come out in dreadfulness, like the hidden story and agenda of so many presidents, so many public figures, popes and actors, film stars, kings and world celebrities, their secret failures, disillusions, disappointments, shameful shortcomings, frustrations, tragedies, regrets, mistakes, and human stains, that they are the more painfully aware of, the more they make efforts to conceal them. Self-control must ultimately burst. The truth will out, and then we have the problem constantly recurring. Would it have made any difference if the pain had been released before? Or would it have been better if it never had been known at all? And usually there is no unambiguous answer to any of the many self-contradictory questions. My religion. You are my religion, dearest, not because your beauty is imperishable, not because of your ideal diplomacy, and not because your amiability is perfect, but because your personality is wondrous constant. Your reliability was always there, in patient calm to rule my horrible impatience, which is getting worse for every year. And even in your doubtful morals, no one can impeach you. You have seen and gone through all the worst. You know about conditions beyond all endurance. You have crossed the limits of intolerable pain and still maintained your equilibrium, as if it was natural to sometimes lose one's mind and let it pass, like any storm at sea. your wisdom only growing cooler and maturing for the trials of extremist crises. Who could anything but love you? Still you have reserved yourself for me. We know each other like none other know and understand us. Thus we must have been created for each other, which is only to accept and make the best of, and which is so good to know that we at least then have each other. Creation. The mystery of magic is creation, but it hurts. It is a painful process. Like a child is born in blood and horror, so is any act of creation something of a crucifixion, in the tough ordeal of getting there and reaching the result of durability. The mystery of getting something out of nothing, the impressing spellbinding effect of the presence of the spirit of creativity, which pervades and rules the universe and all our lives in the most dreaded form of destiny or fate, the tragedy of life and death, which becomes the more inspiring the more suffering it brings. And there you are, the end result of magic, the mystery of something getting into being with a lasting and profound effect to stay and remain productive and in charge as part of the sustained dimension of continuous timelessness. Crisis. My love is lost, and I find no way out into the wilderness where she is gone. In crisis disappeared for no apparent reason except chance, bad luck, and circumstances most unfortunate. She will be back, but who knows when? Meanwhile, I'll have to grope around and falter in the dark, like some decrepit invalid without a crutch, and stumble on in darkness helplessly and hopelessly. And in the darkness without her there is no light at all, but only the impossibility of tolerance and patience with this most exasperating situation. At your own peril, you must not be alone, the most harmful of conditions, completely self-destructive, and what's worse, unconsciously, because you get too focused on yourself and lose the right perspective, getting stuck on your own grindstone with no possible detachment, and thus you get beside yourself, while relationship is all that helps. The possibility to speak with someone and to forget all about yourself, which is what everybody needs in order to go on surviving and not get stuck in self-destructive egoism, which is the surest way to mental suicide. You have to care for someone. Life is only possible in cooperation. People who can't help each other will never be able to help themselves. After the shipwreck, what can you do but gather up the ruins, summarize the debris and collect it, starting once again all over from a new beginning, although it is certain it will lead to just another shipwreck? You are lost without identity. You have no ground to stand on any more, no confidence, no trust, no home, no faith in anything or anyone, for perfectly and only realistic reasons. But instead you have the universe, all life in nature and its continuity, a vast eternity of possibilities and riches, and a veritable boundless ocean of constructive dreams, since fundamental universal creativity is always there and waiting for you to take part in it. It's worth a few occasional disastrous shipwrecks just to be alive and stay alive. Some comfort. We have all been young, no matter how decrepit we become, no matter how beset with melancholia, no matter how absurd experiences, no matter how much we've been burned, no matter how we suffered and endured, with scars all over and with wounds that never heal and never vanish. still we have all been young and fresh and gay and active and alert, and that's our comfort when we reach maturity, that no one can take that away from us, that we once have been young, in love and beauty and enjoyment, and at least in some obscurity at heart, still are and keep it with us, to remain in some way young at heart forever. That no one can take that away from us, that we once have been young, in love and beauty and enjoyment, and at least in some obscurity at heart still are, and keep it with us to remain in some way young at heart forever. Privacy. I love you more than words can tell, and more than feelings can express, too well aware of the impossibility of our absurd relationship in which we hardly meet at all. But love can be surprisingly much stronger than by common triviality like sex and entertainment. Doing things together and just be together. Love is more than sex and more than love, and our affair is quite unique in that we are so close together, although so completely separate. Let people wonder, but they cannot touch us, anyway by gossip, slander, speculation, or whatever, since we know each other in a way that no one else can know. Dreams of love and beauty. Dreams of love and beauty are the only things worth living for, but they are always there, and once you've found them, they will last and evermore remain as long as you are faithful to them. Cherishing, sustaining, and remembering them as dreams more solid than reality, more lasting and reliable than men and women, saved from liquidation by your soul, which naturally keeps preserving what is worth preserving. Thus you have a mandate for eternity, your only one, mind you, your dreams of love and beauty that you were wise enough to take well care of. Carrying on, our relationship is always at a crisis because of circumstances, practical complexities, the sabotage of others, inconveniences, and difficulties of communication, while the least of our problems usually is the greatest for all others. Our love relationship itself and how it works, which always went on smoothly, without the smallest friction, tension ever. Is this kind of love then our reward, a union and affair completely free from strain for all our tragedies, frustrations, and disasters? Maybe we can count us happy, while survival under difficulties and in constant crisis keeps on being our destiny and ensign. Involverad är kärleken självdestruktiv till sitt väsen. Passionens svarta avgrund är blott mörker, och dess svarta hål är ett inferno. Men vad är väl kärlek utan det, och vem kan leva utan kärlek? Kärleken förtär mig, och jag njuter av förintelsen, och ber den ej upphöra med sin plåga, men blott fortsätta accelerera den, då kärleken är något som ej någon kan få nog av. Jag är icke mer än mänsklig, lika prisgiven och utsatt som en var, åt kärlekens förföljelse och infernaliska förförelse, och kan blott njuta därav lika länge som den håller på med sin tortyr, och ber blott att den aldrig måtte upphöra därmed. Involved. Is love self-destructive in itself? The black passion abyss is but darkness, and the black hole of it an inferno. But what's love without that pit? And who can live without it? Love consumes me utterly, and I enjoy the plague, imploring it to never ease and cease its torment, but continue the exacerbation and acceleration, since love is something no one ever had enough of. I am only human and as vulnerable and exposed as anyone to the infernal persecution and seduction of outrageous love, and can but thoroughly enjoy it, for as long as it continues gracing me by torture, and can but ask it to go on and never cease.